Tom Clark's 6M podcast is a Boink Studios production. And now, on with the show.
Hey, what is up? Welcome to Tom Clark's 6M podcast. I'm your host, Tom Clark, and in this episode, I'm joined by co-host Phil Lindsey.
Time travel. We're back again, kids. We've done this before. Deja vu, anybody? Time travel's back, taking center stage here on Tom Clark's 6M podcast. And there's a good reason for that, because today we're talking about Back to the Future Part 2. Yeah, it's a time travel movie. Spoiler alert, but they're traveling in time here. And this is a classic, that's for sure. And I didn't want to spend a lot of time on the intro because I just want to get to it. But this movie is a classic. I can't deny that. There's also a whole lot going on in this movie. But the cast is fantastic, as always. Michael J. Fox is a legend. I don't care what anybody says differently. If they're saying anything differently, shame on them. Fun flick. You've all seen it. If you've not all seen it, I don't know what you're doing with your time and your life. My God, have you not seen the Back to the Future trilogy? Is beyond me. But man, let me tell you something. We've talked about time travel a lot here on the show before. Not just on episodes where we review time travel films either. We just flat out talk about it. Because somebody, namely me, sometimes gets obsessed with the idea of it. Not so obsessed I'm trying to build a machine or I'm walking around wearing a tinfoil hat. Nothing crazy, at least that you know of, okay? I just enjoy talking about it. But this time around, I have thoughts on the whole concept of time travel thanks to this movie, which, to be honest, I have not seen in a very, very long time. We got a lot to unpack here today with this film. Can't wait to get to it and get our views out there. So let's do this, kids. Back to the Future, Part 2, is a 1989 American science fiction film directed by Robert Zemeckis from a screenplay by Bob Gale. Both wrote the story. It is a sequel to the 1985 film Back to the Future, of course, and the second installment in the Back to the Future franchise. The film stars Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Leah Thompson, and Thomas F. Wilson, with Elizabeth Shue, more on that, and Jeffrey Weissman, more on that as well. It follows Marty McFly, that's Michael J. Fox to the rest of you, and his friend Dr. Emmett Brown as they travel from 1985 to 2015 to prevent the former son from tarnishing their family's future. When their arch nemesis Biff Tannen steals the DeLorean time machine and uses it to alter the history for his benefit, the duo must return to 1955 to set things right. As we said, directed by Robert Zemeckis, who's done this a time or two, with a screenplay by Bob Gale, of course, and distributed by Universal Pictures. Release date November 22nd. That's the anniversary of JFK's assassination. Isn't that odd? 1989. 108 minutes. Very, very similar to Part 1 in terms of the box office and a lot of other ways too. The budget for this film was $40 million and it brought in $332.8 million. Part 1, as a refresher, the budget was $19 million. The box office was $388.8 million. So double the budget for about the same amount of return. But that is your lowdown for Back to the Future Part 2. Phil, we've talked about time travel here before. This movie is packed. Like the first film didn't feel that busy to me. Fairly simple. This film is packed and makes you really think. When's the last time you've seen this, and does this movie hold up for you?
Yeah, of course. I think it's on the list of movies that are probably better than its predecessor. One of the greatest sequels of all time. One of the most influential movies. I mean, Nike actually went and made the mags.
Yeah.
Because of this movie and just how popular the futuristic Nikes were. Hoverboards, everything that came out of this. What a time period. 80s, very 80s.
Yes.
I mean, the fact that we have Elizabeth Shue in this, and at the time, Elizabeth Shue in the 80s was either the big protagonist or the girlfriend in the movie. So many 80s films. I mean, Karate Kid, uh,
Yep.
Adventures in Babysitting. Can't think of the 80s without Elizabeth Shue.
I think she had the same wardrobe she had on a Karate Kid in this movie, didn't she? Close. I
Yeah,
kind of picked up on that.
that'd be very funny if that'd be very funny if the scene after all of this stuff happens of them getting in the Jeep and driving away from Back to the Future 3 is them going to like an amusement park and like running around to 80s music. That'd
That would be good. Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you. I think it's a great sequel. Uh, I think I may like part 3 a bit better than part 2.
really,
For,
a lot of
yeah.
people don't like part 3.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. I like the Old West motif part of it. I like that it's different. But also keep in mind I haven't seen part 3 in a very long time.
I don't mind 3, but I think second. I think Back to the Future 2 is the best of the trilogy.
Yeah, I may actually prefer 1 over 2, believe it or not, but I do like part 3 quite a bit. It's very busy, this movie, and it's not in a bad way. There's just a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of plate spinning, and there's a couple of different things that maybe they don't ever circle back to, which I think is kind of odd. But we'll talk about it. We mentioned on the first episode, Phil, when we reviewed the first movie, that they don't have any intentions of going back into this universe as long as Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale are with us. That it's not going to happen. That they're not going to allow this movie to be remade, rebooted, whatever. I'm very much in agreement on that. But I'm going to tell you something right now. I think we'll see something in our lifetime. I don't know when, but I think we're going to see something.
We've seen a bunch of other stuff get a spin-off or a remake, so would not be surprised.
Yeah. But they've stuck to their guns so far. Good for them for sticking to their guns. But and I don't know. And with CG being what it is, I think they could do it justice. I think that they could digitally put Fox in there, and at this point, it may not even know it's not him. I don't know, but like, I don't know, dude. When you start messing around with that, it kind of feels like you're losing the heart of the story, don't you?
Yeah, it kind of feels soulless. Like some of the stuff we've done with like the deep fakes and like holograms used and stuff, kind of felt unnecessary.
So you didn't care for Cage and the Superman, though it wasn't really him.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
looked weird.
Very weird.
Looked very, very weird. I mean, it would fit this movie, and I think if you did like a future where there's like some weird deep fake version of Michael J. Fox, I think it could work, but also probably don't need to do that.
And dude, what kind of future would they even go to?
I don't know
Like,
a future where a megalomaniacal rich guy with a bad comb over rules the world. Nah.
oh God. Well, that's fair. Um, yeah, well, we're there for sure. So so in terms of the cast, because I don't, we can address what may or may not happen later. But what I think is really cool, we talk about how the guys in Marvel tend to all be very friendly with each other. They'll even they'll show up in various places and they'll tag each other and they just seem like they're having a blast. This cast making this trilogy of films, Phil, have just been cool with each other over the years. They're still appearing at Comic Cons together. I mean, I think it's pretty awesome. They're all still as tight as they are.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it's also just so cool how much this movie means to so many people. I've been going to conventions on and off for over a decade, and I always see someone cosplaying as Marty or Doc. I always see like something tied to this movie. I mean, the last convention I went to, there was an exhibit where they had the DeLorean up there, and
Oh,
so
very cool.
yeah, it's just crazy just how much this movie still means to so many people. And I mean, this movie is over 30 years old. It still means so much to people.
Mind blowing. It's mind blowing that it's that old, dude. I can't wrap my head around it. What is it about part 2 that makes it better for part 1 than you? Or better than part 1 for you, put it that way.
I think at one point I saw it the most. It is definitely. Turner Channel fixture. It's always on TNT or TBS, and it was always on TV. And I mean, at one point, I only knew of this movie. It's just funny that I think about it because, of course, I've seen all three movies, but
Mm-hmm.
I've seen this one the most out of all three of them.
Mm.
Um, but just there's so many things about it, just like going to the future instead of going to the past. Because there's something about going to the future that's always been a cool concept, and just how influential this was. Like, because we always want to think of like, yeah, going to the future and hover cars and
Mm-hmm.
like cool technology and all this other stuff, and we got to see that in this, and like there were so many things that took away from this that I don't know, just became such a big phenomenon, like the jacket he wore and like the mags or the hoverboard and just so many things. I mean, the diner he went to that wa was still playing 80s music.
Yeah, I've been to a few different cons that had like a replica of the DeLorean there. And sometimes you'll get the occasional cosplay as one of the characters, like Doc Brown, especially.
Yeah,
And dude, we can't forget without Doc Brown and Marty McFly, we don't get Rick and Morty.
of course.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, there's so many things we don't get. I mean, uh, before he jumped off a deep end, uh, Kanye West's third album had a lot of influence from Back to the Future as well. Um, the first song on the album, he's rapping about the DeLorean at one point.
Mm,
It's in the video, I believe.
interesting. Oh, Kushida, his whole gimmick.
Of course.
It's Marty McFly, man. Still wearing that was a denim shirt with the orange vest over top of it. I think that
Yeah.
bubble vest, right?
Yes.
He,
He's got like the white gear that has like the same design and motif as the hoverboard as well. His
that's true.
finisher is the hoverboard.
It is true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. That's funny. Yeah. It's worth noting here, kids, that Zemeckis wasn't crazy about making this movie in the future because he said that every time that a movie takes place in the future, it is mispredicted. Boy, he's right about that.
Well, we've gotten to the point where we've all got a video chat now at least.
It's true. Yeah. What do you think about the video wall instead of a TV? What'd they call it in this movie?
I forgot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so many cool things like the little pizza that they put on that pan and like hydrated it and it came out as a full pizza. Uh, the little garden thing that came down out of the ceiling with the fruit and stuff on it.
Yeah. We're not quite there yet on those two. I found it funny she took that fully cooked pizza out of that thing without using any gloves.
Yeah, because it wasn't hot. She just hydrated it, right?
Well, it wouldn't be cold, right?
Hell no.
She put it on a metal pan. I'm like, "Where's the pot holder, lady?" I found it was funny that in the first part of the movie when she's like an old grandmother, that's voiced over. She's not using her voice in those scenes. You can tell the audio was recorded later and
Yeah.
added in. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. I mean, well, she's very much supposed to sound like Marty's mom.
Sure.
And so it's like it's her girlfriend basically sounding like Lorraine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
But and then you also have like the actual Lorraine in there as well. Yeah.
Yeah, again, a lot of plates spinning in this movie, which is fine. It's fine. Uh, we've got again, and we'll talk about these guys as we go. Doc and Marty, of course, are the central characters here. Let's get into this George McFly stuff, man, because this is some weird, weird stuff. Like, the great Crispin Glover, who did a bang up job, who I still believe could have been the Joker in The Killing Joke if they had ever made an actual movie, because he just looks the part. But he's not here. And there was a lot of controversy going around this. He didn't like the script. He wanted more money. Yeah, it was a mess, dude. Like there was just he didn't want to be in the film. He wanted more money. Like I said, dude, it was crazy.
Yeah, they found a workaround.
Oh yeah, they found it and they got sued for it too. Yeah, because he came after him as well. He should. They made prosthetics that look like him to put on Jeffrey Weissman.
Oof.
That's just, I don't even know what to say to that, man. That's just, I don't know.
which makes it funny because at one point Doc rips off prosthetics.
Yes. I wonder if that was them thumbing their nose at Crispin Glover. That'd be a shame if they did, boy.
Oh no.
Yeah, because he did not give them permission to use his likeness in this movie. And he sued them. The lawsuit was settled before a legal precedent could be set, but it did result in the adoption of stricter rules by the Screen Actors Guild to help prevent similar situations from occurring again. Supposedly he asked for $1 million, and he got around $760,000. That's according to the Hollywood Reporter. I don't know. They did that whole storyline here, Phil, with where George McFly got murdered, and they did that because he wasn't going to be in the film. So it was a convenient way to take him out. What's your take on all this, man?
I respect him not wanting to be in the movie, and like
Mm.
that's his wishes, but I also understood they were in a tough spot because they were trying to continue going with a franchise, and it would have been tough to recast him. But maybe just recast him once he said he didn't want to be in it. It's fine.
I don't think it would have mattered, honestly. They felt this need to. And, I guess the idea, Phil, is that if they get an actor with a different face, then they can't use the footage from the first movie because it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. And since every shot costs money, if they had to do reshoots, that's just a bigger budget. I don't know. I don't know. For me, it's kind of always felt like something was kind of hanging over this movie. It doesn't ruin it for me or anything like that, because the first time we see him, he's hanging upside down to further kind of cover up the fact that it's not really him.
Yeah.
Which is very weird. But yeah, you're right. They definitely found a workaround for it for sure.
Yeah, I didn't know about any of that stuff when I initially saw the movie, so
Me
it did
neither.
take me out of it.
No, not at all. Well, no internet then. So unless you were subscribing to these magazines or were watching Entertainment Tonight or something, I don't know how much they knew at the time either. So I don't know. Yeah, it affects the storyline there, kids, because there's also running parallel to this in terms of Marty. There's that story that Lorraine, played by the great Leah Thompson, points out was that Marty had this accident and he was never the same after that. Like, did you find it odd we never went back to that in this movie?
Well, yeah, because it's the payoff is in the third movie, right?
Oh, is it? See, there you go. It's how long it's been since I've seen the third movie.
The payoff is in the third movie is that he got into the race with Needle because
Mhm.
the through line for the entire trilogy is Needle keeps calling him a chicken, and anytime anybody goes him and calls him a chicken, he flies off the handle and does something stupid. So he challenges him to a race. And if he had actually done the race, he would have gotten into a car accident where he broke his hand and it ruined his music career. Um, and in the third movie, this actually played out. And because he knows it's going to happen, he backs up and goes in reverse and he watches Needle get into a car, fly past this. It's like a car or something. He would have gotten into the car accident if he didn't back up.
Man, your memory's awesome. I don't remember any of that movie.
Yeah,
Crazy?
yeah, because Elizabeth Shue is holding the paper still that says you're fired, and it changes.
I'd forgotten all about that. By the way, what'd you think about these several fax machines in their home?
Yeah. You're fired.
My God. Because like when they in '89, that was what they thought technology was going to be in the year 2015 was just several fax machines in your living room.
for some reason his boss is yelling at him on the screen, telling him he's fired, but also faxing a piece of paper
Yeah.
with in big capital letters says he's fired. So he's like, "McFly, you're fired," and then like the papers are coming up also saying that he's fired. It's like, but you're saying it on the screen. I think he knows he's fired.
Like, just in case you don't get the memo, you didn't get all those faxes, or that you didn't get my video message. Here's all these faxes too.
Yeah, I feel like Zemeckis was like, what came first? Did Mr. Spacely come before this? It kind of
Oh,
felt like a very Mr. Spacely bit.
That could be. It could be.
I don't remember when the Jetsons came out. I believe Jetsons is after this, right?
In fact, Jetsons may be 60s or 70s. Wasn't it around the time of the Flintstones?
I don't remember. That's
Yeah, I think Jetsons and Flintstones were a lot earlier. Mr. Spacely, I never put that together, but that makes a lot of sense.
McFly.
Yelling at him in his home. Let me yell at you in your home. I thought he was getting yelled at because he had 2 neckties on.
Boink Studios is the home of Tom Clark's main event, Tom Clark's 6M podcast, and Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast. Visit the site today for links to every podcast platform, social media, special announcements, and a lot more. Check out the site and bookmark today, boinkstudios.com.
Who in the world thought that was a great idea for what the future could be in 2015 was a man wearing 2 neckties?
Yeah. Here you go. The original episode aired in prime time, September 23rd, 1962.
Yep.
The final episode aired on March 17th, 1963.
Holy Lord. The Jetsons was on for a year. That's it? That's hard to believe.
They had new episodes, of course, that were produced in the 80s. So they had
Oh, I see.
new episodes produced from 1985 to 1987.
Gotcha. Okay. When all the voices are different or they're not quite the same.
Yeah, but the original series was in the 60s.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah.
Big Jetsons fan.
I was always more of a Flintstones guy than a Jetsons guy. I don't know why. Always was. The bowling scenes especially were always hilarious to me. Yeah, a lot of different things happening here. Again, not hating on the film. I really, really enjoy the movie. Just a lot of plates being spun. So I'm glad they did pay that off. Again, goes to show that I don't remember anything about what's happening here. We're going to have to do part 3 after this, just so we've buttoned up the entire trilogy. Also, what did you think, by the way, going back to Shu, what did you think about her replacing Claudia Wells? I mean, Elizabeth Shue's a better actress, no disrespect to Claudia Wells. We didn't get to see a whole lot of her in the first movie, but she didn't come back for this. So what did you think about Shu coming in here?
It didn't bother me because we technically get more screen time with her in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it fits for that time period. Again, because I've seen the second movie more than the first movie. I feel like I'm more surprised when I watch the first movie and I'm like, wait, that's not Elizabeth Shue.
Right.
I'm just used to the other 2 movies. And I'm sure some of this is just my age when Back to the Future came out, because that was like 5 years old by the time it became like the movie in syndication that people watched all the time. So I saw the second one a lot more, and so I just don't even think about it. I don't even think about her being replaced, because to me, she is the love interest.
Yeah, it's true. Didn't you see wasn't Jedi the first Star Wars movie you saw, or was it Empire?
I think it's Empire.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, I remember that you hadn't seen the first one first. Yeah, I thought she was a better choice. So Wells just couldn't come back for this one, kids. Supposedly for personal reasons. So there was no shenanigans going on that we know of. So Elizabeth Shue came back, and she's in 2 and 3 both. So Biff Tannen, Thomas F. Wilson is still having fun, with this character. Love this guy. I've seen his stand up. He's a funny guy. And he does several different characters here, as does most of the cast, different versions of themselves. But dude, he is the quintessential 80s jock. I'm sure we said this in the first film. He's fantastic, man. I don't think the movie works without him, honestly. If you had to recast him, it's definitely not the same movie.
No. Gets very dark in the first movie. I remember I watched it once and I was like, wait, he's trying to rape her.
Right, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, in this movie, Because at one point when I saw it originally, I was like, "Oh, so he went from like garden variety high school bully to like this like very evil, megalomaniacal rich guy." But then when you do think of things like the stuff in the parking lot, it's like, oh wait, that's not that much of a far cry. He's not a good person.
Mm. Yeah, sexual assault in the first movie, then murder in the second one.
Yeah, he's just not a good person.
Oh Lord.
But yeah, he does great work in this second film because he plays Biff in the past, then he plays Biff in present day, then he plays future Biff, and parallel universe Biff as well.
We should coin the phrase "future Biff" because that's hilarious.
Yeah, old man future Biff is hilarious.
Yes, old man, future Biff.
with his cane with the fist, and he's like, "Hello, hello."
Yeah, same jokes that don't work.
Yeah,
It's it's leave, you moron. It's make like a tree and leave. Like he's fussing at himself for still getting it wrong.
yeah. Meeting himself as a younger self and being completely disappointed in him. One of the funniest bits from the movie.
Yes, because he's like, you're fussing at yourself. Because as an old man, he knows he was a friggin' moron.
Yeah,
Like if you don't know, you see it happening in front of you. Yeah, dude. Honestly, for me, I think the theme of part two here is don't mess with time travel. Like it's a bad idea. Like it's never going to work. Right. I don't care if it's ever done, like ever, and anything's theoretical, it's theoretically possible. Right. But we've said before, it's too much responsibility. Somebody will get something wrong. Then you'll end up with the Back to the Future part two, in which you come back and everything's messed up. It looks like Armageddon when he comes back. Right.
such a great scene. He comes back with like the rock music playing, and like there's like fires everywhere. It's like he came back to the Mad Max universe,
He did.
and then like Biff is living it up. He's doing it. He's got the big casino, which if people do not know, Biff in this movie is very much based off of Trump in real life. There are several movie villains from the 80s up that are based on Donald Trump.
Mm.
It's not that's like, I'm pretty sure that is a known fact at this point. Like everything about him in this movie, having the big casino, um, just like the way he combs his hair back, it's Trump.
Yeah, it is embarrassing. Like, I mean, it made for good comedy back then, but not so much now.
Yeah, that's why we've gotten several jokes at this point that whoever did not go back in time to stop him from getting the sports almanac doomed us all.
Yeah. So you have gone to the future. You got the sports almanac, and now you're going to come back to 2025. Are you going to use it?
Of course, everybody would try to make their life better.
Sure. But would you become a megalomaniacal dude that runs Chicago? You could, man, they have your mug posted on all the buildings, right? Everything's on fire and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just
probably
saying.
not. Probably not.
Maybe not. Yeah. That's a good question. Like, I think I would have to do something, even if it was just one game. And they made it clear in the film that on the first bet he made, he got $1 million off that first bet.
Yep. Biffco.
Biffco.
It could be Tomco.
Tomko. That's a wrestler, isn't it?
Probably.
Tyson Tomko. It's ringing a bell. It sounds familiar. Yeah, Tyson Tomko. I remember that guy. Hey, I'll take it. They voted in the other moron. I'm just saying. So, yeah, again, travel to the future, kids. You mess with time travel. I don't recommend it. Don't none of y'all do it. I don't know.
And actually, I'm forgetting there's not just future Biff, there's future Biff's grandson, who's also played by the same guy. Plays 4 different movies.
He does. And they're all well, all right, the same person is identical. Of course he is, because it's the same. But the grandson? How is the grandson identical, dude?
Yeah. I get a great kick out of everything from the first movie with the chase in the diner and everything. It's the exact same thing from the past in the future it's just done with the hoverboards and everything.
Because Biff comes out and he's like, "This all feels familiar."
Yeah, yeah. Great actor, man. Manoa, I hate Manoa.
Oh my. Dude, I'm watching the scene, but dude, there are armed soldiers in combat fatigues in this new version of Hill Valley in 2015, walking around with weapons, and there's fires raging in the streets.
65.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dude, they got Sammy Hagar on this soundtrack. They got Michael Jackson on this soundtrack. Uh, it's not ZZ Top and it's not Huey Lewis in the News, but, I guess it'll be fine. I kind of felt like, because we ended the first movie with the Huey Lewis in the News song, and then this movie doesn't end with a pop song. It just ends with the cinematic score.
Yeah.
I kind of missed a song at the end, dude.
Yeah, because it's a franchise now. So it
Yeah.
now has its own score.
Oh, there you go. There you go. By the way, Biff still has his boys with him, his 3-man moron posse.
Yeah. What? The one guy that still has the 3D glasses on?
Yes, it's Casey Simasco, isn't it?
Yeah. The guy with the cowboy hat.
That's
Hey.
Billy Zane. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure I know who the other guy is. Let's see. So we got Spike, Data, and Whitey. And that's his gang in 2015. These are the high school kids that run with Biff's grandson. The other 3 guys match Skinhead in 3D. Skinhead is portrayed by Jeffrey J. Cohen, and it is Simasco and Billy Zane back. Yeah, Billy Zane with a cowboy hat for no good reason at all. But so they're working the Biff's casino as his bodyguards. We have to call out also, because I know we're bouncing like crazy, but we have to say that the 2015 version, Marty McFly's mom, has some new breasts, and it's like a prosthetic chest piece that she's wearing. You can kind of tell, because I think at one point the whole thing kind of shifts as she walks, like the entire thing does. But he's freaking out because they're mimicking the scene of when in the first movie he woke up in her bed. So it's kind of a mimic of that. Is there too much of the mimicry happening here, Phil, or do you think it's just enough?
No, I think the running gags are very funny. Yeah. I think playing it out the way that they did from the first movie, and I forget what floor he's on. He's like, "What?" It's very funny.
Yeah. She says, "You're safe and sound now, back on the good old 27th floor."
Yeah.
Yeah. And like he can't stop looking at her chest, right? It's funny they never even mention it. At least not the 2 of them never mention it.
No, she mentions it later in the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that gag was pretty funny.
And she's married Biff.
Yeah. What funny is gags in the movie as well. No.
Yes. Oh man. Yeah, because she calls Biff his father. And for a half second you're thinking, wait a minute, in this timeline is Biff his father?
Yeah.
Ooh.
No. Dun, 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 dun. And then he gets like biffed on the top of the head.
That's great stuff, man. They got Biff looking the part, dude. He's wearing like that mobster silk suit thing he's got on. Looks like something out of Goodfellas. That whole top of that hotel, dude. It's good stuff. So many different layers to this, man, than you might expect. So Doc Brown having a skin treatment done to make himself, he put it on so he would look older so it wouldn't shock Marty quite as bad or whatever it was he said. But he said he had his blood switched out. Isn't that what he said? He had his blood switched out?
Yeah, it was something ridiculous like that.
Terrible. Had all this work done. Took like an hour or whatever it took, and he's like a new man. That was pretty good. All right. So we've got, and I know, all right, she's not coming on to the 3rd movie. So we're going to save Clara, of course, to the 3rd movie. But in terms of what we're doing here with like his kids, okay, and he's playing both of his kids. What do you think about this, man? This is Marlene and Marty Jr., both played by Michael J. Fox.
I think cowardly Marty coming in was very funny, because he's just like his grandfather, and it's like Marty. it's Marty not learning any of the lessons that Marty from present day already has, because his dad is the same as his dad at the beginning of the original movie. He's a failure because of the car accident.
Oh, well done. Yeah, well done. History's repeated itself. Or at least it's harmonizing in some way.
Yes. Now, of course, his dad, George, is just a failure because he refused to stand up for himself or take any risks. But he took too many risks and got into a car accident, and he ends up working a job that he hates and gets fired.
Yeah. Soundly.
Yeah.
Resoundingly. Yeah. A lot of stuff happening here, man. Like I said. So they have to go back to 1955 to try to set everything right. I thought it was great work, which by the way, Phil, the tech for these movies had come so far by 89 that you really can't tell that it's split. These shots are, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't really feel, it seems like the real deal when they're both like two of the same versions on the screen at the same time.
Yeah, I thought all of the stuff played really well.
Mhm.
Interesting enough, he's coming to the future to not fix the fact that Marty is a failure because of the car accident. He's coming to fix his kids going to jail. It's your kids, Marty. Got to do
Right.
something about your kids.
Right. And he mentions to him, I think when they go back, is it when they go back to 55, Doc warns him, there's two other versions of us here right now? Or was that 85?
I think it's 85.
85, yeah. Holy Lord. This is too much. It's too much. It's too hard. And him having to get that almanac back from the principal who's obsessed with everybody being a slacker, you know?
He's got the shotgun in the future.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, I just remember in the first movie, he's like, geez, didn't that guy ever have hair? Yeah, that's good stuff. So, kids, we know that they filmed part 2 and part 3. Let's see, part 3, yep, and part 2 together in 1990, excuse me, was when they were working on finishing part 3. It was claimed at the time that in the 4 years since Back to the Future was made in 85, Michael J. Fox had forgotten how to ride a skateboard. However, motor skills are not so easily lost as in riding a bicycle, and Fox has since stated that this was an early symptom of his Parkinson's disease, although the medical diagnosis was not made until 91. I've never heard that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Wow, crazy. First film appearance of Elijah Wood. I don't know that I caught that.
I didn't either.
He was one of the two kids playing the video game in the cafe near the start of the film.
Yes, which is also one of the scenes that gets repeated because, of course, he plays the video game in the present, plays in the future with the same gun, and then in 3 also plays a similar game with the gun.
Well done.
But yeah, love like in the first movie with the whole car chase scene and him breaking the top off of the scooter to turn it into a skateboard. Does the same thing in this movie, rips the top off to make it a hoverboard.
Yeah, some of the same gags for sure. We still got Goldie Wilson. It's Goldie Wilson the third is the mayor in the future.
The same music and everything.
Yeah. As my dad did, as he's talking about it. It's so funny. Pretty good. I like the TV that's being pushed around by an arm hanging from the ceiling in the diner, and like their version of how to make an 80s diner is like Reagan's in there, of course, and a Michael Jackson impersonator. It's all ridiculous.
Yeah. The Pepsi that he never figures out how to open.
Right. Pepsi logo. That's, of course, futurized. Now it looks like one of those bottles that, like those sport water bottles you can get.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of. A couple cool things they added in. The ledge on the clock tower that Doc broke in 85 is still broken in 2015. Don't know if I caught that. So that's pretty cool. Here's a good one. I never heard this either. According to Fox, he found out there was going to be a sequel to the first Back to the Future when he watched the VHS version, and the words "to be continued" were added at the end of the film. That's how he found out. And he immediately called his agent to make sure he was going to be in the sequel. They didn't take me out, did they? Oh my God, that is insane. So when 1985 Jennifer discovers herself in her 2015 house, her daughter Marlene, of course played by Fox, appears at the top of the stairs saying, Mom, is that you? This is the same exact line spoken by Marty in each film of the trilogy when he is knocked out and wakes up in an unfamiliar place.
Yes.
That's cool.
I'm old.
Michael J. Fox made a pretty girl. Can we agree on that?
I don't know that I noticed that it was Michael J. Fox until like years after originally seeing it.
It seems like that they were talking about it on the entertainment shows on TV when the sequel happened, but I could be wrong. And they talked about not wanting to do a sequel. I still think that part 1 could have remained on its own. I'm glad we have the trilogy. I'm a big fan. But at the same time, if we'd never gotten part 2 and 3, I think that would have been fine as well. Because I think part 1 could have just been a one and done, and we're done with the...
I can see it, but I still think that because this is considered like one of the greatest sequels of all time, and like it's hard to think about this franchise without the second movie.
That's very fair. Yeah. Yeah, very fair. This was the most advanced film of its time, as we alluded to earlier. And it was in the late 80s when the concept of CGI was starting. However, in the film, very few CGI effects were actually needed. That's surprising.
Yeah. For its time with a lot of the effects.
Yeah, for sure. I thought that they integrated everything very well. There's only a few things that because I've seen part 1 more than I've seen part 2, like from the dance, the way that the lines are being delivered, even the guitar solo on Johnny Be Good was different than part 1. I know because I'm that nerd that can tell. But like the rest of it, honestly, I thought they matched everything up pretty well, man.
Tom Clark 6M Podcast is sponsored in part by Radius Law Group. Every day, Radius helps individuals, families, small businesses, and nonprofit organizations throughout North Carolina, Florida, and Pennsylvania resolve their legal issues by providing effective legal counsel in the areas of estate planning, as well as elder law and Medicaid. Radius Law holds the radical belief that working with a lawyer can indeed be enjoyable. So give them a call at 1-800-519-5667 for more information and tell them that Tom Clark 6M Podcast sent you.
Nothing really took me out of it. Everything seemed to fit. It's almost like they physically went back into the first movie with the second one and made everything just fit, dude. I thought they did a bang-up job with that.
Yeah, everything fit pretty close. I mean, even with present day Marty back in the leather jacket and his attempt to be incognito.
Yeah.
With the top hat and everything. It all just fits.
Yeah, for sure. And the chicken thing is ridiculous. This kid's getting baited by this word. I mean, it's fine.
Ooh la la. Ooh la la.
Biff with that weird helmet he wears. The grandson Biff?
Yes.
God.
Yeah, I love that they redo the scene from the first movie where he realizes that Biff is so much bigger than him. And then he gets even taller because the boots then like lift him up.
Yeah, for sure. So the hoverboard thing, could you ever believe that would have become real at some point down the line?
No.
That and those self-tying Nikes, which I hear are very expensive.
The mags, yeah.
Very
rare. And if you have a real pair of mags, they're very, very expensive.
Yeah, I don't think I want them that bad. Be cool to have.
Yeah, with the lights and everything, would be a cool collector's item.
I bet the Bucks have them.
Maybe.
Come on, man. They're such shoe guys. I bet they got them.
Remember there was that whole thing online of Chris Statlander having a fake pair of mags?
I don't know if I remember this. What was it?
Yeah, it was a whole Twitter thing because, of course, you can get fake mags that look the part. And she just liked them because, they just fit with the idea of her character at the time. And people were merciless. They were like, oh, you have fake mags. And she's just like, I'm not a sneakerhead. I don't know any of this. I just thought they were cool.
Well, people come after you for every dumb thing you can effing imagine.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it is. People come for you. So one of the many running jokes that's been had about this movie was the fact that they just left Jennifer on that freaking porch swing. And Doc's like, it'll be fine, Marty. Wake up in the morning and like nothing ever happened. I'm like, but you're going to leave her on the swing on the front porch? What's cool about that is because they were filming 2 and 3 back to back. After filming that scene where she's left on the front porch, the cast and crew waited for daylight and then came back and filmed the scene in part 3 where she wakes up.
That's funny.
That's awesome. Yeah. Continuity, my friends. Some of the items displayed in the front window of the Blast from the Past antique store. Apple Macintosh with keyboard, Black & Decker Dustbuster, Jaws 2 on 1978 VHS box, Dragnet 1987 VHS box, National Lampoon's Animal House, Barbie and Ken dolls, an NES game Burger Time from 82, Roger Rabbit plush doll. By the way, the mechanic that fixes Biff's car. Don't know if you know this, but that is the guy that did the voice for Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, a lot of ties here, of course.
Yeah.
Doc Brown himself is the villain in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Well done. Well done. Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of ties to that. Of course, doesn't Robert Zemeckis direct Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird how things work out.
Yeah, a lot of things like that for this movie. Of course, the movie was written by Bob Gale, who went on to write some Spider-Man comics during the Brand New Day run.
Ooh, even better.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. Yeah, he did. In fact, in between Back to the Future and the Back to the Future 2 and 3, Zemeckis did do Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Charles Fleischer did the voice. I knew Charles Fleischer as a stand-up comic. And it's one of those weird things where it's like he gets the gig and he can't explain where the voice came from. He just came up with it. That's freaking awesome. Like he didn't even have to try hard. He just had it. Insane. What a great movie.
Yeah, great movie. Always something about Dip that just terrified me as a kid. Like the idea of putting a cartoon in toxic waste and melting them down in the sludge was just terrifying.
Terrible, right?
Yeah.
God, I've seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit a million times. I'm telling you right now, a bunch. I got hooked on it when I was younger. Just couldn't stop watching it. Had the VHS. Watched it continuously all the time. If I get stuck on a movie, man, I can just play that movie. I've done a lot of that with the Marvel films too. Just over and over and over again, man.
Yes. I often credit bits of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Jessica Rabbit, of course, and Halle Berry and Flintstones. But that's how I knew I liked women.
It's like, yeah, it was confirmed. For me, it was Carrie Fisher's Princess Leia. That's how I knew. Like, and we're talking little kid knew. I just thought she was the prettiest thing I'd ever seen in my life. I had a thing for Leah Thompson too. I thought she was, and she still is. She still is a very attractive woman to me. Like, just awesome. Don't know if she's had quite the career outside of these films that maybe she could have. I don't know. I can't speak to everything she's ever done, of course. Yeah, she's just so well known for this franchise, man.
Yeah. And Howard the Duck.
That's right. Oh my God. How did I forget Howard the Duck? You know what's funny is that I was watching some clip on YouTube of from Howard the Duck. Just stumbled upon it. My wife walks in the room and she just looks at me and looks at the TV and looks at me and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. it's Howard the Duck, man. So, oh man, flop, major flop. I love that Marvel kept that character around even today.
Yeah. Can't say that I think I've seen the entirety of that movie.
Yeah, I've seen every bit of it. Yeah, it was a major flop. I couldn't tell how much money it lost, but it was quite a bit of money, as I recall. Well, again, the cast is crushing it here. I have no complaints about this movie. The only thing I will say is that any given time, there's just a lot going on. I hate to keep repeating that, but like you kind of expect that from a time travel movie now, don't you feel like it seemed like Back to the Future was such a simple time travel film, but how many others have you seen that are just cut and dry, front to back, everything connects and it's not this like, Endgame is just nothing but, trying to keep everything straight in your mind. What do you think about that? You think that, with it being is there such a thing as being too busy? I mean, the film balances it pretty well, I think. And the fact that it feeds into Endgame is also a very nice touch.
I think it works because the first movie is so simple. It introduces the premise of time travel. And then the second movie ramps up everything. The conflict. It makes, of course, Biff feel like an even bigger villain. Everything about it is ramped up. The effects, the time travel. And that's what a sequel should be. It should feel like it's bigger to justify it.
Yeah, that's fair. What did you think about Michael Fox opening that letter in the rain and it's getting rained on?
I love the attention to detail that all of these things tie back to each other.
Yeah.
Like him getting a physical letter Um, and that's how he knows that he survived, and everything, him being out on the road and getting it at the specific time that he got it. The Doc Brown from the past that he ends up having to work with to get back to the future, because of course that was the premise of the first movie, getting back to the future. The fact that that led into the premise for the third movie, that Doc Brown is stuck in the past, just like Marty was stuck in the past in the first movie.
Mm.
Um, I like that all of that stuff played in a circle. Of course, it doesn't make sense. Of course, the guy standing with him with the umbrella, and he's sitting there reading it with his ridiculous disguise on.
Right. I mean, dude, my anxiety was going through the roof, by the way, when I was watching him read that thing in the rain, man.
Yeah, but I mean, just such a great twist of the DeLorean seemingly getting destroyed,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, we think Doc is gone, because this is now what the third time we think Doc is dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
You think he's dead in the first movie because the Bolivians,
Yes.
and then in the future, no, he's not killed in the future. George is killed in the future. Uh, Doc is in an insane asylum. Is that it?
Yeah, committed. Yeah, the paper said committed.
Yes.
I remember us doing the first movie, talking about those terrorists in the van and how it was like it was Libyan terrorists.
Yes.
And that he swindled plutonium from them. It's somehow, and only like 3 of them
80s.
showed up or something for revenge. I don't know.
Very 80s. Like,
Very
does
80s.
not make sense when you really think about it.
Things tend to fall apart sometimes. Yeah. Again, I dig this film. I think this movie, along with part one, really laid the foundation for a lot of time traveling we saw later. And but you also really can't beat this trilogy, man. Like these three movies, I think, stand the test of time.
Yes.
I mean,
Just fun movies.
yeah, and dude, would it kill you if you never got anything else from this universe?
No. I think 3 movies is enough. We don't need to go back.
I don't think we need to do either. And by the way, if we did, what would we even do?
I mean, it's time travel. You could always do something,
Sure.
but I don't think that we really need it.
You know, it's hard to talk about this without Michael J. Fox is a fighter, man. I'm sure that in terms of, lifespan, I can't say this for sure, but I would suspect that maybe he's possibly outlived what maybe they told him with his initial diagnosis. I don't know that for sure,
Yes.
but he's a fighter, man. Did you see the doc that they did on him?
I didn't.
Oh, it's fantastic. It'll bring you to tears. It's so good. He just don't give up, man.
What a career, though. Like, I mean, all of the stuff that he's been attached to, from the sitcom that he came from,
Mhm.
to the movies that he's been in, to going back to TV and doing sitcom again. Um, what a career, man. Like Teen Wolf, just all the stuff this guy has been attached to. His appearances in Curb Your Enthusiasm, which are hilarious. Just, man, what an incredible career. I don't think that time period, late 80s, early 90s, would be what it is without Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, he was the man, dude. He just the epitome of cool as well.
Yeah,
Um,
it's effortless.
yeah.
I think that's what makes the first movie work so well, is that he's just so effortlessly cool, and his dad is everything that he is. And it's like, how did you come from that? And so then we get this movie, and it's like, wait, your dad is Marty. How did you turn into that?
Mm. Yeah, no kidding, dude. Because the last time we saw him, he was the hero of the film, and then you see the future version of him, and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. Then his son, of course, is a coward, just like his grandfather.
Yep.
It's just like, wait. But yeah, all of this stuff with the car accident, I think the way that that plays out is really great.
Yeah. I mean, this family does not. I mean, I guess you could make the claim, Phil, that this family was both benefited and, well, I guess in the end, they ultimately benefited from time travel. Really?
Yes.
And plus in the years since, we go through different, society changes and sentiment changes. The way people talk, think, act, and feel changes. And it's like, I've read commentary over the years. It's like, wait a minute, let me get this straight. Your life is better because, your dad's not a schmuck and you got a truck. good for you. Like, I've read some really jaded commentary on this movie, man. Like, you kind of expect that, but sometimes I think it's just a little over the top.
Well, I think it's just making a point that um, we're one bad decision or one good decision away from completely changing your life. And I think that it's not necessarily that Marty's life is better. It's that George's life is better because he became the man that he could have been if he just stood up for himself.
Exactly.
And I think for Marty going forward, he learned the lesson over 3 movies that he isn't his dad, but you don't always have to take that risk just because somebody goads you. And, you don't have to prove yourself to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and plus, Biff finally got what was coming to him
Yes.
in the end, which we'll leave that there because we're going to hit part 3 next, just to say we finished the trilogy. But
Biff just being a villain throughout time, all the way in the past, in the present. Yeah, just forever a villain.
forever a villain. And it's I'm thinking of another time travel. Is it Rick and Morty I'm thinking of right now? Maybe it is. This idea that in this universe, this guy is always like this, no matter what. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
just a
like that.
bad person, no matter what.
No matter what. Yeah. Much like the guy he's based on, actually.
Yeah.
Always a bad person. He's always been a bad person. Never been a successful businessman. Anyone that claims otherwise is dead freaking wrong.
Yeah, just got lucky.
Got lucky. Had daddy's money. Then he had Russia's money. There you go.
Yeah, somehow managed to fail at real estate in New York. Who fails at real estate in New York? I don't know. With a head start, by the way.
Right. Talk about falling upward, failing upward. Like most of us fell downward, Yeah, jeez. Yeah, well, kids, that's Back to the Future, part 2. If you're thinking that we could have thrown a lot more stuff in here, you're totally right. But if you can hear my voice, you can tell I'm not exactly normal. At least my version of normal. Had a really fun sickness for about 3 weeks, so I'm still in the recovery phase of that. But you know what they say? Whatever doesn't kill you usually succeeds in the second attempt. So I got that to look forward to. But here, we can end with one of these things here, Phil. Carl Sagan, Carl Sagan considered this the greatest time travel movie ever made. He praised the accuracy in handling the multiple timelines as what would really happen if time travel were possible. And in the Back to the Future game, Carl Sagan is the alias used by Doc Brown when visiting Hill Valley in 1931.
Wow.
Pretty good. So I'm sure we did this in the first Back to the Future review, but I don't remember that because we've done a lot of these. So I'll ask you now, which version of time travel makes more sense to you? The stuff we got in Endgame or the stuff we get in Back to the Future?
I think it makes more sense that when you change something, it creates an alternate universe,
Mm-hmm.
and the past that you came back from still exists. There's just a new timeline. There's a new alternate universe.
Interesting. Yeah. I don't know which part I fall on, man. Like we all just kind of came up with Back to the Future, and then the fact that the Avengers movies just broke the fourth wall the way they did and just tackled it is the coolest thing ever, man. I love that so much, actually.
Yes.
But it just made us completely change our perspective and look at it.
Yeah. I thought you were going to talk about how The Flash broke the fourth wall and changed the casting for the movie. And Marty, we went to a terrible future where Marty was not played by Michael J. Fox.
Oh, wow. Well, I try not to think about that Flash movie too awful much. That one's in the archives, kids, believe it or not. We actually wasted an hour doing that show.
Also a time travel movie.
Also a time travel movie. Not as good as Back to the Future.
Yeah, definitely not.
Not even close. By the way, we covered this first film in episode 202 way back in August of 2024. So hasn't been that long ago, but we are now, this is episode 237. You would think I would know.
For context, for people, if you did not see our first episode where we talked about this movie, Eric Stoltz was originally cast as Marty McFly. That was referenced in the Flash movie, where in that future, Eric Stoltz played the character, and not Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, boy, man, what a different movie that would have been, dude. Can you even imagine how different that would have been?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think we need to go to that terrible future.
Did you ever go back and watch any of the screen tests and stuff that he did and the footage that they have of him?
I did not. I've never seen it.
It's intense. He's intense. Like he just doesn't have that air of lightheartedness about him that Fox does. He played it very straight. And it's almost like,
Yeah.
did they not tell you this was a comedy? Like, I don't know. It's very weird.
It's a different movie.
It's a very different movie. Yeah. By the way, kids, you're listening to episode 238. My apologies. Again, should have known that. So 36 episodes ago, we talked about this.
But yeah, if you go and you look this up on Google, original Marty McFly, there are pictures of Eric Stoltz
Mm-hmm.
as Marty McFly in the movie.
Yeah. And there's footage on YouTube you can find. There's the scene of him in the diner with his dad. There's a scene of him in Doc's garage or in his house where the car is. And there's another piece of footage. I think there's 3 bits of footage that you see with him. But yeah, he was fired not long into the making of the first film. And plus, Thomas Wilson has a story about, he thought he was going to have to punch this guy in the mouth.
Oh wow!
Yeah, because the scene where he's getting physical with Marty, that Stoltz kind of pushed back a little bit too aggressively. And Tom's like, well, I'm going to give him that one. But if he does it again, I'm going to have to punch this guy in the face. Art imitating life, I suppose. Well, look, kids, as we said, part 2 is a busy movie. And you had to put up with the fact that, let's just call a spade a spade. They kind of did Crispin Glover wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he got some kind of money out of that. No matter what he did with it, doesn't matter. But we're always going to side with the creators here, folks. We're not going to side with the studio or the company. We always side with the creator. So, like, when you've got an actor and he's, whether we're talking about a comic book artist or an actor or a wrestler or whoever, talent needs to get paid, man, and talent can't be just cut out as if it didn't exist. So, yeah, I'm glad that things got smoothed over. Now, to everybody else's credit, Phil, Crispin Glover is something of an eccentric actor.
Yes.
So I'm sure that played into it, but still, using the guy's likeness, come on, man, what are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah. I do think that I just immediately thought in my head, if they did make a 4th movie and everything we know about this, it just makes too much sense for Eric Stoltz to not be the big villain of the 4th movie.
God.
All of this stuff starts going wrong for Marty. All of these things in his life start disappearing. And we find out that Eric Stoltz from the future comes back to ruin everything for Marty McFly because he ruined his life.
Can you imagine? Oh, I wonder if he'd go for something like that.
Yeah, that would be very funny if Eric Stoltz playing alternate universe version of Marty McFly was the villain of that movie. That would be great.
Eric Stoltz is freaking great. He is so good. He just was just the wrong choice for Back to the Future, man.
Yes.
For sure. Well, kids, there you have it. There is Back to the Future Part 2. Back to the Future Part 3 going to be on the way shortly. So keep your eyes open for that. But before we get out of here, Phil, let's get your last word on Back to the Future Part 2.
Great movie. Still stands the test of time. I stand by my statement that it's probably one of the greatest sequels of all time. Incredibly influential. Pretty much made a lot of people's careers. Completely changed multiple genres. Television, film, as we said, wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say one of the most influential movies of all time.
Yeah, I agree with that totally. And look, I'm always going to have a thing for time travel movies. It's one of my favorite genre of films. In fact, I intentionally went out of my way this past week to go find a time travel thing to watch. No kidding. And I've seen a lot of them, but there's a couple things that I haven't seen yet. So I'm going out of my way to watch whatever I can. It's just one of those aspects of one of those genres of film I just truly love, and the storytelling as well. So I really appreciate it. But yeah, as I said, we're going to cover part 3. So stay tuned for that one, folks. It'll be coming your way in the next episode, as they say, and we'll tackle it then. But for now, that is Back to the Future Part 2.
Hey, thanks for listening to the show. Check out our social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at 6M Podcast. We'll see you next time.